Hi everyone. We thought we'd do another video today on living with COVID, particularly in light of the expiry of provisions relating to SSP, which came into force on the 24th of March. A number of clients have asked us whether a specific policy should now be put in place. My colleague Jake has very helpfully drafted something up that we might want to start to use going forwards. And essentially, the starting point is for businesses to decide what their rules are going to be. The biggest controversy being if somebody tests positive for COVID now, there is no legal obligation to self-isolate and thus no contractual right for a business to require somebody to sit at home on no pay or on statutory sick pay only. So, in terms of the policy, it should firstly set out what the legal position is. So, as of the 24th of February, there is now no legal requirement to self-isolate if somebody does contract COVID or is a close contact of somebody who has. We can refer to the government guidance, which still does strongly encourage those who test positive, whether symptomatic or not, to remain at home and self-isolate in the same manner as prior to February. But again, clarifying there's no legal requirement to do so. Another early part of the policy can focus on the ongoing protective measures that businesses are going to put in place. So that, as part of risk assessment processes, should include cleaning the offices and surfaces more often, providing that sanitisation facility for employees, which I know many employers are retaining in the same ways they did during the pandemic, providing any other PPE as appropriate, and obviously encouraging take-up of the vaccine. Testing is something which is going to be very difficult once the government removes the free tests from the 1st of April. Businesses who require employees to undergo tests are likely to have to meet that cost themselves if they can pay for private testing. There may be client requirements in certain sectors for employees to undertake tests, and if so, the requirement on employees as a reasonable management instruction should be included in that policy. We may want to clarify that there are no restrictions now on returning to work. So for those employees who may be clinically extremely vulnerable, for those who simply have ongoing concerns about contracting the virus, employees really need to be discussing these matters with management now. If we have had temporary home working provisions which are still in place and we want to end, the policy should make provision for requiring employees to now come back into the workplace. We then move on to looking at positive tests for COVID-19. So whilst there is no requirement to self-isolate, firstly, will we require an employee to work from home if they are able to and if they are not incapacitated? If somebody is actually sick with the virus and cannot work because of that illness as a result of contracting COVID-19, they would be entitled to SSP. However, if they are fit to work, if they are ready and willing to work, the simple option, if possible, is to try and ensure that they can continue to work from home. Now, that just will not be possible in a number of cases. So we can set out other options, such as if we're going to have them in the workplace, providing additional PPE, moving the workstation to another part of the business, looking at temporary redeployment. Alternatively, the employee might wish to take annual leave. We might be able to agree that with individuals. But the crucial part of this policy is what if none of that is appropriate or agreeable for the business or the employee. Now, in such circumstances, if we want to sit the employee at home, we're going to have to pay full pay unless the employee can carry out work from home, unfortunately. We also need to decide whether any COVID-related leave is going to count for the purposes of sickness absence management. Has been a split amongst our clients as to whether this absence is included in trigger levels for managing absence. The risk of doing that is that employees will not tell you if they've tested positive and may simply try to continue coming into work. So in relation to pay, just to clarify that there is no entitlement to SSP for a positive test unless the employee is incapacitated themselves. If an employee simply wishes to voluntarily isolate and we want them back into the business, we can determine that they are on unpaid leave at that point. Question: would that be a disciplinary matter for unauthorised absence? A difficult one, because the employee is actually trying to protect themselves and others in those circumstances. We have a section on employees with disabilities and those who are extremely vulnerable. So there may well be some genuine and reasonable concern from some employees about coming back into work, particularly if the remainder of our policy does actually allow people to come back in with a positive test. Again, that just encourages dialogue between employee and the company in terms of what provisions to put in place. And finally, we just reiterate that vaccinations are highly encouraged, so employees should be taking up all the courses of the vaccine which are available, and any boosters which may inevitably be offered as we move through the course of the year. So we have prepared a policy. We can provide that to you if you want to email employmenthub@chadlaw.co.uk if you need any further advice on the living with COVID measures. Hopefully you found that video very useful. Thank you.